Broadcasting from the center of the universe in Stony Creek, Ontario, Canada. This is the Renovating Life Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Kopak and Dan Carroll. And producer, Greg Natishan. Follow along on their journey to become real estate entrepreneurs and interview guests that will inspire you to take action in your life. Brought to you by Battlefield Real Estate Investments. Invest in real estate. Invest with Battlefield Real Estate Investments.
All right, everybody, let's party. Let's do the show. My name is Dan Carroll, your host. Greg Natishan, our producer over there. Thanks for coming in, and forever and always, the man amongst men himself, sitting right across from me, and business partner Steve Kopak. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's been a good week.
It's been a good week.
Yeah.
Wish I could say the same. No, it's been it's been a good week for. It's been a good learning experience, I should say. Right? Positive mindset. That's what this is all about.
Good times.
We have a great guest. My accountant.
Well, hey,
Don't hang up.
he's my accountant now.
That's right. But it goes way beyond that, and that's why we're excited to have Jonid in. Jonid, thanks for coming into the show.
My pleasure.
Right on. Managing partner of Progress Group. And Jonid, we were talking about this before the show. I've known you for what, like 4 years now or something like that? I still don't know how to pronounce your last name. I was going to clear that up before. I'm like, no.
I was waiting for you to pronounce it. I was like, I don't know how to pronounce it either.
Just try. When we first came to Canada, they used to say Hammertime because they couldn't say Hametaj.
Oh, I like that.
And I didn't even know what a Hammertime was until I see the video, and I'm like, that's where it comes from.
Jonid Hammertime. I like it.
I love that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
When did you come to this country? Where and from where?
So I immigrated from Albania, which is a small country in Eastern Europe. Migrated here about 22 years ago now. We came straight to Hamilton, war refugees, so the whole route. Were placed in Hamilton, welfare shelter, the whole 9 yards. And then we got permanent resident, and then we slowly became resident and slowly start working.
Nice.
Get out of the welfare system. And
right. How old were you?
I came here when I was 14.
14. Okay. So you remember the whole process
very vividly. The biggest shining light for me is that I arrived at the airport, at Pearson Airport, at 1 a.m. And while the taxi is taking us to Hamilton, I see all the lights are open into the buildings and house everything else. Yeah. Back home, because the city or the government couldn't afford electricity, shuts down at 9 p.m. So I come here and I'm like, look at all these rich guys. They can afford lights after 9 p.m. But I didn't know about...
You talk about taking things for granted, right?
Oh, 100%.
Never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Wow. So Trudeau wasn't sitting there. Well, obviously when you were 14, but the prime minister at the time wasn't sitting there waiting to shake your hand.
No.
It's amazing. So, I mean, like, talk about a journey.
Yeah.
Right? Like, from 14, like, you're placed. Explain what that means. You're placed in Hamilton. Like, here's your house. Welcome to Canada.
Yeah, we had to, back then, the Albanian government was going through a regime change, so it went from communist to democratic. So then what happened is we had to escape through the black market, getting into Canada with fake passports, everything else. Yeah. And once you arrive, we disclose that, we're refugees. We want to stay in Canada. If you guys can keep us, we'll go anywhere. So we didn't know anything about sort of Canada or anything else. So they just put us into a place in Hamilton, which now I call home. And, I'm very proud of sort of being in Hamilton for over 20 years. And then you go through the routes. I mean, you have to learn from the language to the culture to the schooling to everything else that you're not accustomed to. And we didn't speak English, so you have to go through the ESL program, and that's where we funnel through Sir John and McDonald's, which unfortunately is not around. But
it's funny the way you explained coming to Canada black market. I have family in Sudbury, and they couldn't bring their cousin from Croatia to Canada, like in a legal fashion. So the only flight he could find out was to Chicago. And then they wired him money, and he took a bus from Chicago to Sault Ste. Marie. That's on the border, right?
Yep.
He walked across the border and then claimed refugee status. So that's how he ended up in Canada.
Wow.
That's
Like,
crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
But it's all for a better life, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there was probably from your family a lot of pressure on you from an education standpoint, right? Get a good education. And
That's right. It's the Eastern European culture of being grown up in Soviet Union is the education, the culture, the sort of the breadth of your knowledge is very important. So when you come here, you have to go right away to those measures. Even though you don't speak the language, you still have to be able to attend the right schooling system and also be able to be equivalent with the rest of the students, because you're coming in. I came in at grade 9. I couldn't speak the English, but I gotta accustom myself to somehow in the society that is gonna be my home for the future. So schooling is very important. That's something that our culture takes it very seriously.
It's
Let me guess, the your best subject when you came here, knowing no English, was math.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a universal language.
It's insane. They put me in grade 11 math doing grade 12 equations, but I couldn't speak English, so they had to get a translator to tell me, like, a dog goes to the car, there's 5 miles apart. So they just give me the numbers and I give them the answer. I wasn't smart. It's just our system is well advanced in the Soviet Union than when you come here. But then you're doing not even grade 9. You're doing ESL English. Like, here's a soccer ball and here's a goat. And, it's you go from high level here
basically
to
the same test that Trump took that he used to determine that he was a genius.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's still trying to pass it, by the way.
I don't know. I don't know how he's going to do it.
Right. So, I mean, that in and of itself is probably an entire show just talking about your journey. But, I mean, you become a certified professional accountant, right? Starting your own business, or did you start with another firm? Or?
So being acquainted to numbers, that was sort of my, I guess, getaway when I came to Canada, is I need to do something numerical, something financial, something analytical. My mindset works that way anyways. So I started in grade 12 where I guess I got 100% on my accounting course, and my prof is like, hey, I think you should be an accountant. I said, I don't know what that entails, but I guess if it's numbers, I'll solve anything.
Right. It attracts girls, right? That's
absolutely. That's exactly, you do a mathematical
equation.
Chicks dig
numbers. I know.
And then continuation of that was I got my first job when I was grade 12 in high school, then went on to Mac, where sort of I continued my postgrad. I was very fortunate to be sort of in leadership roles. I opened my first company when I was in first year at Mac, then just doing sort of literally going to pizza stores and bookstores, like anyone who would give me any sort of job, do it for free first. Just wanted to calculate debits and credits, which I know I feel how clients ask me sometimes. I'm like, debit to the left, credits to the right. But it was just that basic of like, let me get accustomed to this. Like, what can I do? And then slowly I build my portfolio throughout going to university and playing varsity and doing all that other busy stuff that I did. And then that sort of gave me the confidence that I can do this on my own. And it starts at the first step. It starts at knocking on that door and saying, is there something I can do to assist you with? I might not know everything. I might not be your solution, but I'm pretty sure I can help you at some point in time.
That's an interesting approach.
Oh, I like that.
I like that.
You just go out there and get it.
Yeah.
Right? Just dive into the pool. Who knows if there's water in it?
So many people get caught up in that analysis paralysis, right? Where they're like, I want to do this, particularly real estate investing. There's a million books, there's a million podcasts, all that kind of stuff. And you can know all the information, but until you actually take that first step, and frankly, obviously the books are great and everything, but put your nose to the grindstone. I mean, that's really where I start to learn. Right. And frankly, it exposes you, because the more properties that I do, the more I realize I don't know. And I find myself now, like, already wanting to know, how do I take this to the next level? And I'm like, do I want to just keep doing it this way? There has to be a better way.
Exactly. And I think that's the most important part, is start somewhere, whatever that is.
Start.
I have a funny story. So I have a little bit of a portfolio in real estate, and me and my brother started it a few years back when we were in university, and we sort of wanted to do house rental, student rentals, a little bit that. Our first project was at the back of our own house. We did a little shed. We just wanted boys' night.
Yeah.
We didn't want to stay away from the house.
This is down.
This is down on Beach Boulevard.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So boys come over, play poker, have some fun.
That was a great spot.
That was an amazing spot.
I did the open house on that.
Oh, nice.
That's right. That's right. We did
Yeah.
that. And we didn't know anything about real estate or building anything else. So it's like we just want to play. So we literally hire someone off Kijiji to just come and help do the frame, and we're just sitting there. It's like, what can I do? Can I put a siding, or can I hammer a nail or something? And that was like I don't know, 300 square feet, nothing crazy.
Yep.
That was sort of our first project.
Yeah.
And then that literally kickstarted the passion of like, can we do more? And with the ambition and the hunger of being immigrants ourselves is, okay, well, what else is there? Then you learn about how real estate works. Then you will learn about how the financing behind real estate, which is very, very important for that, how that works. And then we open our gates to our first ever student rental opportunity as sort of as a family with me and my brother. And then it was a snowball effect. And then that's a very good question about most people get satisfied with just getting their foot in the door.
Right.
Other people are interested in like, how do I open my next door?
Right.
And where do I go from there? And how do I access that space?
I remember thinking at one time, like, I just want to flip a house and say that I did it, and then I could feel like a real estate investor. And I did it, and it was good, but it's like a drug. Now it's like, oh, wait a minute. No. And now, I don't know, I'm 7 properties in, and I'm like, I still feel the same way, but in a good way. It's not like I don't feel satisfied. It's like I just want to learn more, and it's like the more, networks are important.
Huge.
And the more you start networking with people that are doing the same thing, you see what people are doing and developing. It's like, oh my God, this guy just built a 20 unit, purpose-built rental property. How do I do that? I'm investing all this time and energy in doing this. What if I did over here? I could realize more, more profits, and I could take it up 10 notches,
Absolutely. And I think that's also something that you look at, as you touch upon about the different streams of revenues is, personally, we went student rental. We didn't want anything else. We were students. We lived in homes. We rented them to friends. So it's easy, right? Mm-hmm. And then you graduate. Now you got to move out. You got to do things. So now you look at it as like, well, do I exponentially grow this? Do I maybe move to the family market or the rental market? Or do I look at something for more of a flipping purpose? Because there's a capital gain potential out, in an undeprived area, there might be a lot of growth. So even within real estate itself, there's different types of streams of revenue and also different types of investment propositions, short-term, long-term, partnership, JVs, on my own, flips, hold. You can go down the rabbit hole in a million ways.
I mean, that's what's great about real estate investing there. It's there's so many avenues, right?
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's good too. I know a lot of people get concerned. Everyone that I talk to that isn't in the market, they're like, oh, when's it going to crash? But it comes down to your strategy. And, if this isn't working right now, what is?
That's right.
And that's the mindset you have to get into. It's what is working? How can I? As opposed to, oh, everything's too expensive, I'm out.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's so many ways, and I think that's where associating your team is very important. And I'll take a little bit of sort of talking about what Progress Group does and having amazing clients like yours for a very long time since our first house, right? But even just having a team to like vouch and benchmark ideas about, Jonid, do I get in this project? How does that sense? I want to bring a partner in. I'm not really sure how this potential joint venture might work or potential partnership. I think building the team around you where you can have and look at from a mortgage perspective, what's my affordability and what's my next steps coming up? I think that's very important because once you specialize in what you want to do on the flip, you let the other team members take care of structures, planning, financial, anything else. I think you can be a lot more successful. And it's the people that usually take that risk that usually get the reward. I mean, that saying is there for a reason on the risk and reward part, but it's also, you have to do something outside the comfort zone in order to reap the rewards of it. Because if you weren't supposed to do that, then everyone would reap the rewards of something that everyone is not doing, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know how to say this, but I think a lot of people are scared to do shit like me and him are doing, right? I was scared to do it, but we had a couple beers at one of his flips. I owed him a couple favors. I did a couple things for him, and I'm like, and we just started talking one day. Let's fucking just do this.
Yeah.
And I jumped into it, and I'm never looking back.
Well, that must have been a good pint, by the way. But for you to owe him a favor on a flip, I'm like, I want to be part of those drinks.
Well, because he...
it started on a project that was doing on Battlefield. Oh, this one? Okay, yeah.
No, I mean, the favor started here.
Oh, right.
Because he'd come after work,
Your
help
house.
me hammer in a couple nails, put a couple bricks up.
Yeah.
He
Oh, buddy, it started with the demo.
Yeah,
Let's not forget about the dance floor.
Yeah, the dance floor that was down here. There was a dance floor.
I missed out.
Yeah. It was so bad.
Just a couple of hundred mice.
It was like something straight at the 70s show. Do you remember the 70s show? They used to all smoke pot in the basement. That's what was here.
Right.
That's
Did you
what
guys
was
have
here
that
when I
one
bought
couch too, or
No, the couch wasn't here. No.
And if there was, we weren't sitting on it.
No, I don't know. Because God knows.
After what we
on
found in the carpet upstairs that we made Dave remove.
Yeah, Dave. He had the shortest straw. They had carpet in the bathroom here.
Ironically,
when
he
I bought
was
the
also
place.
the shortest guy.
It's not good. Oh.
How about what fell on me in the bedroom?
Fell on. Oh, he was taking the ceiling down, and he ended up with mouse poop in his mouth.
And now he has no hair.
That's what did it.
That's what did. Greg never came back.
That's right. So let's talk about Progress Group.
Yeah.
So you're getting into real estate investing. You become a certified professional accountant, and now you're looking, ironically, to progress.
yes,
Right.
That's
So
right.
talk about what manifested this thought. Like, I want to expand, and how did you create this company, Progress Group?
Absolutely. I mean, becoming a chartered accountant was always my sort of life dream goal up to a certain point, and then it's like, what's next, right? When you have the ambition and the drive, you always need to know the what's next part. You can't always be satisfied. So then at that point in time is that, I've done, outside of traveling the world and doing all these public audits with all the biggest companies in the world, it's like, what value am I added to my client? If I'm going to be a compliance work where I'm just going to come in and sign because you're going to go public, that's okay, but there's not really a lot of good feedback on a back and forth component. So I decided I want to start something on my own because I want to relate my experience with sort of my background of coming from a war refugee to what I did. But also I wanted to help other business owners because that's what excites me. That's what drives the fire. Right. So then we started, at the beginning, we started JH Accounting, which is just an accounting firm, which we're just taking care of the clients of corporate tax, personal tax, and all the accounting needs in Burlington. And then it was actually out of my Beach Boulevard house at the front office, a small office there. And then we grew and then we grew up. Then we went to Burlington, a couple offices in. Within 2 years we sort of blew up again, and we decided that we need our sort of our own space, our own environment. Then we decided to go down in Oakville where we sort of have our own building. It's on Progress Court, so that's sort of the play on with the words of Progress Group.
Is that where you got the name from? Because of where you?
That's actually the true story is I didn't know the name. I knew I did not want JH Accounting because unfortunately this phone doesn't stop ringing. Right. So I'm building a team. I'm building departments. I don't want to be the only one in that office, right?
Gotcha.
So we wanted to change the name from the initials to something else. We weren't too sure what it was. As soon as we landed on Progress Court, that name kicks in. Yep. We bought all the rights to the street. So all of our companies from Progress Group Bookkeeping, Progress Group Accounting, Progress Group Wealth Management, Progress Group Insurance, and Progress Group Realty, all of that became a spin-off of what we wanted to do. And the true meaning of why we did it is because we wanted to diversify the expertise to the clients, because a lot of clients, they came back and they just weren't just asking tax questions. We had such people like you. It's like, Jonid, great. We filed the taxes. We did this. But it's like, I really want to start something different. I really want to open business on this direction. Yeah. So they were looking for more than just accounting services. So at that point in time, I took a step back and, I'm a fanatic of business with my double major, is that, what made Walmart successful? What made Costco the biggest producing retailer in the world without having any of their products? It's literally resource and time. They put everything in one basket, so they will save you the time. You look at the next generation now with millennials coming in, they're making jokes about our professional ADDs shorter than a goldfish because our memory cannot withhold as much. Therefore, they need assistance to a one-stop shop. They got 1 hour of attention span. What can we provide for them outside of just filing taxes or doing a singular service?
Right. So any business can come to you and you're a one-stop shop.
Absolutely. We're actually one of the very first in Ontario that we're aware of that we provide financial services under one governance umbrella across all the platforms.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So let's use, since we're here, Battlefield Real Estate Investments as an example. So we are, as a company, 2020, what a year to start, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Still the first 2 months.
We almost started it officially on April Fool's Day too. Did you know that? It was close.
Yeah, because our little meeting was in March, and I think we got all the paperwork right at the beginning of April.
I was wondering if it was going to be April 1st.
I would have loved that.
That would have been perfect.
Well, we got the right guy. He can change the paperwork.
Actually, since you're here, so I'm the president, CEO of Battlefield Real Estate Investments.
Got it.
And then I got my hot secretary.
Yeah.
Explain that.
How did you name me the secretary? That's what I want to know.
You know what?
How did I get that fucking name?
I was looking at, who's going to be the caregiver of the company? Who's going to be the one that is going to talk to the banks and talk to CRA and be the smooth talker? So I'm like, I know Dan. I'm anyone else but Dan.
Yeah.
And I figured you would be the perfect
I like
fit.
that. That was good.
I'm getting you something for secretary from now on.
I'm going to get a bikini that says Progress Group.
Right?
Yeah.
Done. We'll set it.
Better be a two-piece, yeah. So, instead of just globally talking about, where do we go as a business, maybe specifically, somebody's coming to you, we're there's a property in Stony Creek. We are in Stony Creek now. And for anybody listening not from around here, because I'm assuming there's millions, right?
And millions.
Listening to our show.
We got people in Nunavut listening.
There's a property close to Battlefield.
Excellent.
That is available. It is it's 2 parcels of land that are being sold as one with 2 homes on it that are zoned single-family homes, non-conforming, meaning we can't change them or whatever. We can either use them as is or level it, whatever. Right. So my thought, and because you and I were talking the one time, what if I just thought out of the box? Here, who am I to say I can't do something? I want to build a building, right? Amazing. I know the process is long, but I come to you and say, here's a parcel of land. Here's what it's zoned for. Depending on the dimensions and how close it is to the property lines, I can go up 7 stories. But it's going to cost a lot of money. But I want it, right? What do I need? I'm coming to you. What do I need to bring to you that could best serve our company?
Excellent. Now, are you looking from the perspective of you don't own it and buy the parcel, or you already own the parcel of land?
We don't own it.
We want to own it.
We want to own it, but we want to kind of get our ducks in a row and figure out, is this something doable? Basically, so just to give you some insight, what I'm thinking is knowing that it's going to take a little while to get this done, get both homes into livable condition, rent them, and let it carry the cost of the land. And then go through the process, whether it's getting drawings and getting approval from the city, financing, right? And then from there, what's your advice to to me. Help me.
Excellent. Well, the first thing we would start with sort of, obviously you're a client, but like we get to know the client.
Right.
Like what is their situation? What's their net worth? What's the capability of their assets? Our wealth management team does a really good job of sort of pre-qualifying businesses or individuals about a commercial or residential real estate purchase. The first thing is put the platform. What do I need to do to buy it? Once you set that up, either you can buy right away or something that you may not be able to buy right away. Now you have to consider, do I bring partners into this? Do I make potentially a joint venture with XYZ, or do I make 2 or 3 partners come together? Obviously, from an underwriting perspective with wealth management, the bigger the stake, the bigger the assets components as a group, the easier the approval is, because the banker or the financial institution is going to look at it from a default rate. What are the chances of you guys not succeeding and making the payment, and how many personal security guarantees do I have, just in case if anything happens? So the first part would be the approval side. The second part would be what we would call design a small business plan. What is it that I need to do to get it to that level? Outside of the licensing, which unfortunately City of Hamilton is putting quite some delays in there, just personally knowing.
It's not the City of Hamilton I know.
Yeah.
Right?
No, not what it used
supportive.
to be.
No. Actually, I did speak to somebody in zoning about this property, and she was amazing. Like, she was fantastic. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So that process takes quite some time. So you need your SBA site plan approvals, you need your zoning, you need everything else, you need the permits before you sort of do that. Let's say that's 6 to 12 month process, whatever the capabilities are. Then you have to write down your financial analytics. What is actually going to cost me to go to phase 1, which is usually all the sewage, the ground underlining with a foundation of the building. Then what is phase 2, phase 3, and then probably build out, right? Now, there is different financial opportunities in different stages. For example, stage 1, if you're going to do the foundation and getting the sewage and the lining, everything ground up, financial institutions won't help with that. They most likely are not going to come in at the phase 1. So you're going to look at it from either private funding, investments, personal investments, potential assets putting in collaboration with a build out. Once you're sort of at the phase 1, then now you can open up doors more. Now you can get build out loans if you really wanted to. You can bring potentially builders or someone else that you might want to bring to the project. It all depends on what's your comfort level, right? I can keep 100% of the pie. It's going to take me 5 to 6 years to eat it. Yeah. Or I just want a slice, but I'm going to eat it in 1 year. Yeah. And then I'm going to move on to a cherry pie, then an apple pie, then anything else I want. So it depends on what my hunger level is, right? And also depends on what my abilities are. If I'm not hungry, I can't finish a pie on my own. Yeah. I'm just going to have to wait until I get hungry.
I can.
Oh. You're not allowed to.
That's right.
No. Not allowed to.
That's right.
We're trying to get healthy, Dan.
That's right. Yeah.
One thing that has been very effective as we have worked really closely with developers now, with our pre-con teams and PG Realty, is there's a lot of developers that are looking for opportunities. Now, this could be opportunities in town. This could be opportunities out of town. It all depends on what their sort of wait period are going to be. Some avenues that we have assisted clients with is also doing that collaboration work, where the client does XYZ of the project, the developer does XYZ of the project. There is profit sharing that can come in, there's potential joint ventures that can come in, but then the process works a lot faster. Remember we talked earlier about building your team? Right. You're building your team with someone that can probably expedite that process within 6 months versus having to wait 6 years, So it depends on what you're looking out of the project. Now, if your goal is to say, I want to become a mini developer or a flipper or whatever I want to do, then that's okay. Then maybe you should take the time to work on your business plan to build your team around your projects. Right. Because the other avenue, when you look at, we've had some really good successful clients that have sort of gone from a small level flipping to now building a team of 10 or 15 is that they worked on projects by adding an electrician to their team,
Right.
adding a plumber to their team, adding an HVAC to their team,
Right.
because now you can exponentially grow that with other mini projects that you might work
Right.
with.
Which we've been doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Steve, you've got a million contacts for all this kind of stuff. But interesting, like even, excuse me, there's so many steps in a project like this, right?
Absolutely.
When it comes to, like, for me, it's the financing, right? I'm not overly concerned about finding people to build.
No, I'm not concerned. I'm concerned about being able to hold on to it.
Right.
Right.
Right. But again, this is what's great about
Yeah.
real estate. It's how do we structure the deal so that we can still get it? Maybe we have to give up a piece of the pie,
Yeah.
but eventually we'll still own a piece of the pie where we can put our physical business in there
Yeah.
and podcast studio.
Circling back to how you named your company, right?
Yeah.
We are Battlefield Real Estate Investment Group because we shook hands on Battlefield Drive on a project we were
It's
working
amazing.
Right.
on. And now you always fuck me up with those, you know? Like, you fucking asshole. But yeah, and then this property is now on the corner of King Street and Battlefield Drive.
Well, it makes perfect sense for
And
you guys.
you look out the window
Yeah.
and you see two cannons. Like,
Right.
it's
Like,
it's
I want this.
Yeah.
So
Like,
we're going to make
bad.
it happen. And I'm But interesting. So my next step, or
Yeah.
my first step, frankly, was calling the city because the listing had some interesting zoning information on it that wasn't making sense. Turns out it was old zoning information. So I found the proper zoning information, and so that's what's my next step? Do I just go? Do I just come to Progress Group and go, I want to buy this property, help me?
Exactly. So, I mean, that's literally the first thing clients do. Is like, I need this, help me.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going. See, you're already a lot more sophisticated than most clients that are coming to real estate. You've been in real estate for your whole life, and you've done already flips. Like, you already know steps of it.
Right.
Most of the clients don't even know that. They just want to, I want this, what do I do now, right?
Right.
So once you come to our team, we'll do the whole assessment, and we'll say, okay, here's the options of acquiring it. There's option A. Maybe it requires some liquidation of some other assets. Option B, maybe it does require a little bit of private lending or JV money, whatever you want to do.
And you can find that?
And we can, absolutely can fix that. And then you can do option 3. I actually need another partner. It's not just the money.
Right.
Maybe the team that I have,
Sure.
it's already, overworked or overswamped on whatever project. We need another partner that comes in. So it's deciding of what you want to do with it.
Right.
Building, potentially you said seven stories.
Well,
or,
again, it could be 3 up to 7, depending
Got
on the distance from the back fence, essentially.
excellent. Well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, especially for area like Hamilton or
Right.
where Battlefield is that, those are sort of easily moved units, and, you're not building, the permits are going to be a little bit easier as long as you keep it sort of a low rise.
Right.
You look at the properties that we actually bought here on Shoreview. So New Horizon, they built the 6-story right on the water.
Right.
Those are a little bit easier to flip or
Okay.
a little easier to build. And for the approval process too, because your obstacle or whoever's at the back or whatever, you're probably not, you're not going to too high of levels.
Right.
But then at the same time, the ability or the financing ability to build that is a little bit more than obviously
Sure.
a house or a flip
Yeah. Of
or
course.
anything else. So you also got to look at it. Okay, even if I get it, if I put all of my eggs in one basket to get it, am I really left with anything else to build?
Yeah.
And that's the risky part, right? Operational and keeping this alive is easy. You can rent the houses,
Right.
whatever. It's not very hard.
Right.
But it's also about, as you know very well, it's also the timing.
Yeah.
When do I want to build, and when do I start the process to apply? Some of these applications depends on the zoning or whatever you're doing. They will run you in significant thousands of dollars, right? So that's a ability that you want to have in there. Some clients will actually get it ready, zoning, do the drawings, and sell it to a builder. That's another avenue.
That's flipping land, right?
That's right.
Okay,
So you can do that, but if you're sort of really tied to it because it fits your profile, now you have to look at avenues of like, I want to be a part of it. Obviously, I want to be a part of it 100%. If I'm not a part of it 100%, is there an ability to want to be a part of it of 70%, 60%, or whatever I want to do with it. And then also when you do the deals with the builders, that's something that we can really help you with because we deal with builders all the time. It's also you negotiate the part of, if you're going to come in as a building partner, I really want to keep the first 2 floors. Because that's my sort of value added to the project. And you can always work something around it where you get obviously preferential treatment on that space.
Interesting. Awesome. What are we at? 30 minutes there? 35? Why don't we take a quick break and we'll come back with Jonid.
Excellent.
All right.
And now, back to the Renovating Life podcast.
And we are back with Jonid Hammertime.
Jonid Hammertime.
Got it right.
I love it.
From Progress Group, and we've been talking a lot about business, just taking a chance and going for it and that kind of stuff. And I mean, that's been sort of our whole philosophy, really, in developing this company. And recently we just purchased a property, and we'll talk about it in our segment we like to call In the Trenches.
Let's find out what the guys have been up to this week in their real estate adventures. This is In the Trenches.
So we just bought a property, a month ago?
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to close in, 26 days?
Yeah,
so it was a month ago.
It was about a month ago. And it didn't close last week like it was supposed to because our lawyer found something on title.
Yeah.
There was like a private mortgage that existed or something like that. This is an estate sale.
Yeah.
And I guess they thought they could just buy it out.
No, there was a lien on the property through a fraudulent mortgage company that doesn't exist anymore. It's because an Ontario Inc. number. Guy's in jail. Company doesn't exist, but there's a $158,000 lien on this house.
Wow.
So Scotiabank basically won't give us the money until the lien is cleared. But the people still want to sell us the house because the people didn't even know. They had no clue the lien was on the house because the house was left to them from a family member that passed away.
They did know, but they thought they could discharge it on closing. The lawyer said something about buying it out, or I don't know. But whatever it was, is there has to be a court process.
Yeah,
and they're saying actually, the listing agent was trying to blame me, your mortgage company doesn't want to close on. I'm like, well, they don't want to be in second position. Of course, they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, long story short, we're not closing until January. But this is actually a good for us because we can actually take a breath,
step back,
and actually focus on the actual business and trying to get things organized and all that kind of stuff. Because when, it's great going out there and just getting it done. But I mean, all of a sudden, if you're not prepared, things start building up and compounding and you're getting a little disorganized. So this is going to let us, take a breath, get ready. But we're still looking. We're still actively looking for
my wife's
property.
Because now the basement's getting done quicker.
Right? Exactly. So,
are you guys looking in a specific area? Do you want to keep it as localized as possible, or is it just something that
we've been focusing local? But honestly, I do want to branch out. I mean, if branching out means St. Catharines, Niagara, Brantford, that kind of stuff, but even further. Frankly, I'm looking for a good deal. And even if it isn't a good deal, what we need to get used to doing is building teams wherever, repeating what we have here because we have a good setup here. But what we need to do, and this is going to come as we actually have more time to work on it full time.
Yeah.
Establishing teams in different areas and using the same systems, right?
Yeah.
What is a business but systems and repeating elsewhere. So we're working at trying to perfect our systems and, perfecting as much as we can in a year.
Yeah. We've come a long way in what?
We have.
Has it been a year yet?
It's been a year.
Since we bought our first one?
Yeah, last October.
Yeah, October 17th.
McDonald.
McDonald, yeah. So
right.
in a
We
year,
spent a lot of time there. We learned a lot. We spent way too much of our own time working on this place. We're sitting there. It's like 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. We're jacking the house up using
car jack and jack posts.
And jack posts. And he's sitting there. He's like, is somebody upstairs? I'm like, no, that's the house moving. That's what happens when you drink first and work later.
Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, in the trenches right there. I don't know. One thing that I was thinking that we should be getting into too is, I mean, this is the Renovating Life podcast.
Yeah.
And it's more than just building businesses. It's more than focusing on real estate. But I mean, trying to better ourselves as people. One thing that you and I have really been trying to work on is positive mindset.
Yeah.
And taking ownership.
Yeah.
One of the books that both you and I have read, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. And you were just mentioning off air some important lessons that you learned about taking ownership, and particularly, actually, interestingly enough, the property that we bought on Woodlawn.
Oh, the one across the street.
Right.
So I read that chapter. It's called Simple, but I like to call the chapter Keep It Simple, Stupid, because that's really what it is, what it's about. So me and Dan put an offer in on the house across the street from the one with the lien. And we lost out on the house.
Like how long ago? That was a couple months ago.
A few months ago.
A few months ago.
Our offer was better for the seller.
Yeah.
Because we waived our commission, but because people can't do simple math, we lost out on it.
Despite me explaining it to them in every way that I could, it was actually $7,000 more in their pocket, but they went with the other offer.
Because the number was higher, so they thought it was better.
Right.
But what I was going to get to is, it's actually me and him were pissed off at them. But you know whose fault? You know whose fault it was? It was mine and his, because we made it too complex.
Yeah.
If we would have kept it simple,
right,
gave them the offer what our offer was worth, got the house, then we could have went back to them and said, we want to waive our commission so the mortgage looks less on paper,
right,
so our down payment is less. That's what we were going for.
Right.
And so it's our fault.
But I mean, this was the thing that I mean, you know, we were talking about it. Like I was pretty easy on her because she took ownership of it too. She's like, she called me and she goes, "I fucked up." That was the first thing she said to me, and ultimately I took ownership of it because maybe I could have done a better job of explaining it, or again, what you said, we could have done it retroactively.
Yeah.
So. But again, it's a lot of people get caught up. You make a mistake, you blame other people, and you get caught up into this whirlwind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And nothing good ends up coming out of it.
No.
The quicker that you can take ownership of a situation, the better that you can recover from it and move on.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the number one thing is also the ownership part comes within you. So that gives you an ability to look at it from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. In accounting, actually in PwC, when I was articling, one of the things that they taught us really well is always put yourself in your client's shoes. We're talking off air, and I was just saying how much I love my job, because my job is meeting entrepreneurs and business owners every day. That's my job. And I get to put myself in their shoes every day.
Yeah.
I'm a pizza store owner. I'm a logistics provider. I'm a financial planner the other day. And you talk about taking ownership. Sometimes we get into business discussions that are not really the greatest. And maybe we are overly complicating because the other side does not have that experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes just putting yourself in the other side and taking ownership, and I say, I apologize. Maybe I looked at it from a different perspective.
Right.
Let me come to your side of the table and let me look at it, what's important to you, and let me dress it up the way you'll understand. The outcome is the same. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of like putting yourself in that position. Am I a first-time home buyer? I don't understand mortgages and rates or commissions. I don't know how this works. All I look is that number on that paper. Mm-hmm. And sometimes putting yourself there and taking that ownership perspective, it goes a long way.
It's easy to forget.
Oh.
You know, especially, I mean, that's a sign of true professionalism, too.
Absolutely.
Being able to take responsibility. But the more you do something, the easier it gets for you, and it's easy to forget that from the other perspective.
Absolutely, especially when you're doing a lot of deals or a lot of business back to back. It's sometimes you're in that move,
Right.
and you're not really taking that deep breath of saying, who am I dealing with today, or
Right.
who am I dealing with at 4 p.m. versus at 3 p.m. Those are different people, different methods of communication, right?
Especially you. I mean, you're dealing with people at different levels. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're small fish, but you treat me like I'm like the king of the castle.
Every client is important.
Right, absolutely. I went into his office and I had to do some work. I showed up early because I can't read a calendar. But he gave me an office to work from.
Yeah.
Like,
awesome.
Here you go. Boom. And then I met with Hector in that office. It was fantastic. I had a great view of the Lamborghini, by the way, which you didn't bring.
You know what? I was going to, but it was dark, and I'm like, maybe you won't.
No,
next
it was
time.
probably
Next
not a
time for
good
sure.
idea. He scraped the whole front end going up my driveway.
I was worried about that, but not selfishly. I still wanted to see.
I still wanted to see it.
I'll bring it next time for
That's
sure.
like I told Lydia, I'm like, oh, our guest tonight owns a Lamborghini. She's like, what? My middle daughter loves cars.
You know what? I'll bring it next
Loves
time. Next time
cars.
for sure.
So I told her if
Love to
she's
have her
really
back
good this year, he's like Santa Claus. If you're good, he'll take you for a rip down the street in it.
Done.
And she was like, okay.
Done. Consider it done.
That's like my life goal. It's so funny. Like, actually, what's really interesting is that the more money that I earn, the more quote unquote, I don't feel successful yet, but like the more I get closer to it, the less those things actually appeal to me.
Yeah.
Like the thing, everyone had the Countach up on the wall.
Oh,
right?
as a kid? Oh, I had that poster on my wall. The yellow
And,
one.
Yeah.
Like, like a friend of mine, he had like a white Countach up on the wall, and I would always go and look at it, and I was like, man, that's all they want. And now it's like it doesn't have the same effect on me. Strangely enough, I'm more attracted to the business and trying to just go and go and go. But if somebody says, "Hey, you want to go for a rip in a Lamborghini?" I'm like, "Yep, I'll drop everything.
Yeah, I'll drop everything.
I'm all in." Yeah.
And sometimes, honestly, those things for some people are just like a motivation. We talked about reading books or audiobooks or whatever you do. Sometimes is, maybe I'll speak for myself, is when I leave that office at 8 p.m. and jump on that car, to me, it's sort of a self-acclamation of like, you got this because you earned it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, that's anything. It's not just cars or whatever,
I
but
love that. Yeah.
it's just a part of like, how do I get better tomorrow? How do I build a stronger team? And we talked about that sort of level of leadership that you have.
Right.
And one of the sort of segue of what Progress Group, we believe we became very successful, is that we were able to leverage that leadership between different compartments.
Yeah.
And that's hence the different departments and the different partners per department. It alleviates the pressure at the top, where you have enough time to strategically look at the future,
Right. Yeah.
strategically look at what's the next move. It's the same thing as real estate. You start with a small house first, and then you realize that, I need a partner now. I can't really do this on my own.
Right.
And then I bring another partner. Then now you look at maybe 2 properties, or maybe you look at a piece of parcel of land.
Yeah.
Then I'm planning for a 7-story, right? And
Right.
you broaden your horizon as you move along.
There's a lot of trust there too.
Yeah.
You need to trust the people that are on your team.
You have to be able to let go and trust.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe is that the mark of a true leader? Like, what makes a good leader? That's a loaded question. That's a hard one.
I mean, I don't think I'm a good leader. I think I'm just really good at what I do. It's up for the people that are my sort of followers in my team, for them to decide if I'm a good leader or not. In my opinion, I think humbleness is very important. You have to be able to have those really open communications with your staff, your managers, your partners, whoever's going to be in the table. Because at the end of the day, like I tell everyone else, is that we spend more time doing what we do for work than we actually do in our off time. So technically that's a family on its own.
Right.
And being able to tap in those situations and getting to learn about people, I think that's a sign of inclusiveness. So now you're part of them. And now leading by example, it's actually a very loaded statement, because that takes a lot, because you can't always lead all the time.
Sure.
That's just physically you can't do it. We have 24 hours. I mean, we're doing podcasts at late hours of the night while we had a busy week or frustrating day. Yep. We're still here trying to motivate and trying to lead sort of the follower, the listener, or the next person to want to do something, and that takes a lot sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like a mark of a good leader. I don't know.
No, I like it.
I think Jonid needs to change his mindset and maybe suggest that he is a good leader.
I'll try that.
Right?
Yeah.
Done.
Start telling yourself, right? Because
done.
I mean, how you talk to yourself, I think, is first probably the most important. That's a hard lesson that I've had, and something that it's like working out. You have to do it every day.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm guilty of it a million times.
Can't
over.
take days off.
Right.
I mean, you look great. I was going to ask you if you've been working out lately.
We should have a segment about what are we doing personally to improve ourselves. I know over the past week and a half, I've actually no fast food. I've been sticking to a strict diet. Full disclosure, I am having a diet beer tonight. This is the first one I've had in about a week and a half. What are you doing to improve yourself? I mean, really, how I appear physically is going to represent our business. Oh, yeah. Frankly. And that's the way that I'm thinking of it, too. I'm down 8 pounds in a week. Yeah. And it's coming from... And here's the thing. I'm still going to McDonald's and picking up food for the family. Yeah. They're eating cookies and all this kind of shit.
That's the hard part, too, right? Is picking something up for them that you want, but you can't have because you want to take care of yourself, right?
Right. They're sitting there, they want Happy Meals, and I'm thinking, what's the seasonal fruit? It's like I get strawberries in the summer. I get apples in September. That's fantastic. And pizza in January.
I get strawberries on a bun with Big Mac sauce.
Love it.
Right. Absolutely. My problem is I'm a cereal snacker, and a cereal snacker, strangely enough.
But you can be a cereal snacker. You just got to snack on the right shit.
Well, exactly right.
Snack on potato chips.
Absolutely,
Greg. me and Greg play Call of Duty at night sometimes. Late at night. And this fucking guy's crunching in my ear all night. I'm like, Greg, what are you eating? Fritos. I can tell. Because I can't hear guys walking around.
Now you're an expert. You can know exactly the crunches.
Maybe I should start chewing gum instead.
Yeah.
What does Yoda? Okay, you're a professional. You're obviously dedicated to your business. Yeah. Do you have a guilty pleasure that you do for fun? Obviously, travel is kind of out of the question right now.
Yeah. Well, that's my bug. My bug is travel. I love to travel. My guilty pleasure, it's literally just sort of, just going out there. Whatever it is, it's the boats, the cars, or whatever. I'm sort of attracted to sort of the fast life a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes that comes in as a sort of a sacrifice. Right. I mean, business owners, we sort of don't really have a stop and start watch. We're 24 hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes you do take those a little bit of a time off over the weekend and make sure you just.
I mean, you're building a business continuously. Yeah. I mean, there's no finish line.
Exactly.
Really.
No, there's not.
There shouldn't be a finish line.
There shouldn't be a finish line. But I mean, also you're building the business. You're living the fast life. But you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot of work. I have 2 kids.
It's not
3
easy.
Kids. Greg has 2 kids. How do you manage all that?
I don't know. It's I think it becomes, honestly, it's a lifestyle more than anything else. You get a lot of people that sort of come back and say, how do you manage all these different businesses and personal life and all this? And it's, maybe you don't realize that. It's just something that it's not. You can't just turn it overnight. That's why I think some business owners don't really sort of go past the next stage, is because they're not slowly building that environment that allows them to multitask all the time. Mm-hmm. Right? You can go from a singular business to now multi-business. That's not really how the path works. You sort of have to have the framework in play that allows you to expand your horizon.
It takes time.
I think the success point, in my opinion, is being able to be productive in the same time on different fronts. And the way sort of I tell my staff too is that, having executive assistants or admin staff and things like that, it's actually very important. We focus 30% of our staffing just to be the admin and the social assistant side, because it takes so much more to put things together. That is not just the technical side that comes in. It's everything else around it that without a support system, it wouldn't exist.
So it's interesting. I mean, I can come to you with our business that is eventually going to be a multi-million-dollar business.
Absolutely.
Frankly. Did you consult with anyone? Did you have coaches, mentors? Or did it all just manifest from this brain?
I mean, my hustle was my coach, to be quite honest. I mean, I have people I look up to, like Elon Musk, and like I'm sure most business owners do anyways.
You set the bar low, right?
Yeah.
With Elon?
I really want to start low first and then maybe look at someone like Trump after. But we're not going to get political in it. Yeah. But I think it was more on different stages. I mean, there's profs I looked up to. There's different teachers in my life that I looked up to. In terms of the business side, I think I was very fortunate to had to hustle early on. That I've already sort of self-programmed my brain to be able to work in a different capacity that maybe works for me and might not work for other people.
So the decision for you it almost seemed natural.
Oh, it was absolutely natural.
Right, it was just, okay, of course I'm going to start Progress Group, right?
Absolutely. It was just a matter of when. When was I ready? And I decided early on that I was ready for it, a lot earlier than sort of my peers, and being sort of one of the youngest partners in the CA practice and all that good stuff. It's sort of, led my leadership life that I had, at being, in a lot of sort of different positions that are early on. I was sort of a little bit more equipped than my competitor. So then at that point in time, I already had the momentum. Yeah. I already started the race before you.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Wow. I mean, we could go on all day long on.
I love Jonid. No, you're like
we'll do a part 2.
Honestly,
you inspired me. Like some of the shit that you were.
One of my favorite things was the first time I came into your office to do my taxes, and it was like, here's my papers with my like piddly, income and all this kind of stuff. And he walks in with a suit and busy, I come in at the deadline, of course, because that's how I roll. Treats me like gold. He's like, give me a sec. Walks into another room. I don't know if he's got calculators going or something like that. It's like, well, change that. Boom, 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 boom. Done. I'm like, holy crap, I'm getting money back.
Holy shit.
Amazing.
The one thing I got to start doing better is doing that receipt thing that you offer.
Receipt bank.
I've been on him.
Man.
I'm all over it.
It's literally a life changer. I know it's small. It's small for us, but for like other people, it's technically a life changer.
Okay, we're going to be sitting down.
I want to hear what this is. Explain.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, receipt bank.
Oh, it's basically like, instead of me filing all my receipts and giving all 1,000 of them to him in one day to look at, I take a picture of it on the app and it goes right to Hector, and Hector files it, and it's done.
Right, and where are they right now?
They're in a file folder underneath the center console of my truck.
Right.
There's probably 500 of them there.
How many times have I asked you to scan those fucking things?
Don't worry. I think by Friday, Hector's going to have like fucking 500 of them.
These are the systems.
No, I won't. I won't even let him listen to this. Right. He'll finish your file and then he can listen to this. Got it. But it's honestly mind blowing, and being sort of the next wave of generation of business, we're going fully paperless, and having those programs. Think about it. It buys me and you more time. I don't have. You talk about your first meeting with us. It's like I don't have to look at the papers. I don't have to go through all the serious forms. Electronically, we can manipulate the system to track whatever we want. The biggest value added, in my opinion, with your accountant or advisor is actually their time. It's not their tax return.
Oh, we talked about this in episode 1.
Absolutely.
Time is the most expensive commodity in the world.
100%.
Absolutely.
Because you never gain time.
Exactly.
You're losing time every day.
And you can't even buy it. Like, I was looking on Kijiji before I came. I'm like, anyone selling time?
Is anyone selling time?
And I guess no one was selling. Maybe
I
COVID.
don't want to spend another night sitting here going over receipts and like who paid what and all that kind of stuff. No, they want it done, and we can focus on properties and building the business. Jonid, we really appreciate you coming in.
He's coming back.
You're coming back for sure. Where can people find you if they're looking to seek your services, whether it's for accounting or starting a business?
Social media. I don't know if you have any.
Absolutely. I mean, first start with the website, www.progressgroupinc.com. I think you're going to find all the departments, all the leaders on those departments, all the services we provide. Like we said, we're one of the very first in Ontario that is providing a lot of multitude of services outside of just accounting. Then you can hit us up on social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can hit us on Google with all the reviews. So we're sort of everywhere, I guess.
Fantastic. And if you are out there and you're thinking, you know what, I want to get started investing in real estate, we are looking for private financing. We're looking for, if you're looking for a passive way to invest in real estate, you've never done it before, or if you have before and you're just looking for a complete hands-off approach, contact us at battlefieldrei.com. What is it? info@battlefieldrei.com, or email me at dan@battlefieldrei.com, and we'll be happy to sit down with you and explain the whole process to you. So, Jonid, thanks again for coming in. Until next time, my name is Dan Carroll. For producer Greg, Steve Kopak, and Jonid Hammertime, saying,
I love it.
I love it.
Just go out there, take action, seek discomfort, and work like hell.
That's it.
For more information on investing in real estate, visit battlefieldrei.com and follow us on Instagram at BattlefieldREI Inc. and at Renovating Hamilton. Music for the show provided by josephmcdade.com and voiceover by Mike Dawson.